Hello, everyone. This is the Observationist here, and I want to wish you a happy Labor Day, and good old September 1st, start of a new month. And this is also my inaugural video of my new formatted channel here. I'm going to be doing geopolitics, politics, economics, some medical health care, and a few other issues, both great and small, that we're going to be covering. I'm going to be doing a video, I think, every day. I'm going to try that. And we're going to be covering a lot of issues. The first issue we're going to be starting off with is about Joni Ernst. You uh, might have followed what was happening with her over the weekend. Joni Ernst declared that she's not going to be seeking re-election in the Senate from the state of Iowa. And for some people, that surprises some people. A lot of the analysts projecting the 2026 elections had Iowa colored in pink, like Let's Talk Elections did. And they assumed that Joni Ernst was going to do very well and they're going to survive. Unfortunately for the Republicans, that's not going to be the case. We're going to be going over some of the issues, why that's the case, and why I project a Democratic wave next year. I project the Democrats are going to pick up in the neighborhood of 8 seats or so. I project next year we'll have a 55-seat Democratic majority in the Senate, and the Republicans are going to be losing a lot. We're going over that real soon as to why that's the case. We're also going to go over a little bit my methodology versus the methodology of some of the other analysts and pollsters that are projecting the future, and why my projection is profoundly different. I'm not going on polls, I'm going on history. I think what's going to be happening is because of Trump's tariffs and mishandling the economy, that we're likely going to be going into a form of depression, not just a mere recession. Recessions are cyclical, and they always happen from on a periodic basis. Every 5 to 10 years, you get a recession, and from an economic point of view, they're really kind of just wiggles in the economy. People think that going from 2% inflation up to 4 or 5% or 6% inflation is really horrible and terrible. When in actuality, it's really not. It's really just a wiggle, and it's just going to get corrected in time, in a short period of time. We're not talking about like the huge price increases like we're having, like people are seeing now. We're talking about like eggs doubling in price, not 5-10%. We're talking 100%, going from $2 a dozen to $4 a dozen, things like that. And so the economy is really going to be suffering over the next year, and I think that's going to shove things in a very different direction. Let me just kind of point that out to you a little bit. Okay, let's look at the election of 1930. This was after the stock market crash, obviously, but it was also right around that time that the Smoot-Hawley tariffs started taking hold. And the Smoot-Hawley tariffs were very, very critical for the depth and the duration of the Great Depression. It cut off, it really diminished trade around the world, and the United States economy, really requires or really uses global trade for its health. But this is what happened. There was an 8 seat by the Democrats in 1930. In 1932, there was a 12 or 13 seat gain, which just added to their total. It was really an impressive time. Let's look at what's going on now. Okay. Okay, I colored her in. Iowa, I colored that in blue. I'm showing 55 seats. This is the ones that I'm showing that I think the Democrats are going to win. And if you look at some others, like Let's Talk Elections, you'll see that. Let me see what you do. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Monday, August 25th.
Okay, this is Let's Talk Elections. I like them. He does a good job, but he's doing things from a very, from the standpoint of reading the polls. And the problem with reading the polls is that they just show you what things are going on right now. They don't really go into what's going to happen next year. And in a time where things are undergoing a lot of change, it'll miss those changes. So let's skip all the way to the end here and show you what he's projecting. He's projecting the Democrats. Let me just increase the size. Okay, he has the Democrats. He has the Democrats pulling away with with 48. So he has the Democrats only gaining one seat. And you'll see his map is a lot different than mine. Okay. This is what my map looks like. And I have Florida going to Democrats. I have Maine. Maine, to me, is a gimme because Susan Collins is only at 14% approval, and that's ridiculous. I don't know if there's been a senator ever reelected that had less than 30% approval rate, let alone 14%. So that to me is a gimme. That's definitely going to go blue. I think Iowa's now going to go blue. I also think that Kentucky's going to go blue because they're suffering from the booze boycott from Canada. There's distilleries in Kentucky are going under. So I think Kentucky, and also Mitch McConnell is retiring, by the way. So that's an open seat. That's the reason why I think that's going to go blue. North Carolina is also an open seat, and I think that's going to go blue. Cooper, actually, the Democrat running there, is already ahead by 6 points in a very recent poll. That was done now, let alone after the next year, where the Republicans are going to do very poorly over the next year because Trump is going to lead them to disaster. Florida, that is probably of all the ones I have colored blue, that's probably the ones I'm least sure of. But I do think it's going to go blue because they're having so many things going on there. The ICE raids are targeting a lot of the Cubans down there. So the Cuban Americans, and the Cuban Americans, by the way, in Florida have been traditionally since the 1960s, they've been a Republican constituency. They helped vote Trump and DeSantis into office. So why they would pick on him is beyond me. It's a form of insanity. But the Cuban Americans are being targeted there, and I think that's going to hurt their support of the Republicans. Then, of course, because of the ICE raids and the focus on the immigrants, a lot of the immigrant labor down there is the migrant labor, I should say, is has been targeted, and therefore farms are being hit there just like they are all across the country. And then really big that's going on there that's not happening in most of the other states is the Canadian boycott, tourist boycott. So all those snowbirds that come down every winter, they're not coming down. They're going to be staying home. And that's going to hit, that's already hitting the Florida economy, but in this winter, it's going to be devastating. And I think that's going to have an impact. And I think there's a good chance that Ashley Moody, who replaced Marco Rubio, I don't think Ashley Moody is going to be getting reelected. Because don't forget, she was just appointed there. She was not elected. She was just appointed by DeSantis. I think and people who are new to politics, by new to politics, I mean new to campaigning, and she was never, she never had a position where she had to campaign for it. So I think she's very likely going to lose. So with all that, I have it at 55. This actually can go much farther if the farm vote begins to wake up. It's a big question whether or not that will happen. Then we could see Nebraska and Kansas and maybe even South Dakota going blue. That is to me that is definitely a possibility, as well as Montana. That would be that would not be a blue wave. That would be a blue tsunami if that happens. I'm not projecting that at this moment. But let me go over to why. Let me tell you why I think that might happen. And why it might happen is you got to look at how the farm, the average American farmer has been supported over the years. If you look at your screen now, there is a document that I put together called Farm Programs Created by Congress from 1935 to 2025. These are the Republican ones and the Democratic ones. The Republican ones are empty, except for one program that I put in here, and that is my Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. Technically, this is not a farm program. It's an immigration program. But it's really critical to how farmers for the past 30 years were able to make money. What happened is in the 60s, there was Cesar Chavez, and he had some, and he did some organization of the migrant workers in California, and they had a strike or boycott or something like that. And anyway, it really scared farmers across the country. A few years later, Reagan is in office, and there's a bipartisan program. Both Republicans and Democrats both supported it for the Information Reform and Control Act. Now, what this act did is it actually created the illegal migrant worker. Before that, we always had migrant workers, but this made them illegal. And that was done purposely so the farmers could pay them under minimum wage and not give them any benefits, no health care, not even housing or anything. They could just treat them really, 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 really badly. And that was done purposely so the farmers would be able to maximize their profits. This is what Trump has come in and has, used this act to deport a lot of the workers now, and the farmers are wondering what the heck's going on. They voted this guy in to get rid of the immigrants, but then the immigrants or the migrant workers are what they need to make their to make their profit and to be profitable, to have actually operating farms. So now what's going on is farms are going under, they're going bankrupt all across the country. Iowa we talked about. That's one of the things, the reason why Joni Ernst is basically quitting. But also, Nebraska and Kansas and Indiana and Ohio and, Illinois and Texas, all across the country. There's not a state, that's not affected. Because as far as I know, agriculture is in every state, and they're all impacted. Even places like Vermont. So this shows you all of the programs from 1932. They're all created by the Democrats. So it included things like the Food Stamp Act, USAID. Now USAID, Trump shut that down. Well, that was putting $2 to $3 billion into the farm market every single year, and that was money that went directly to farmers. And now they're not getting that anymore. He shut that down. Then other ones, agricultural insurance programs in case you have bad crops, Farm Credit Administration. That was done. All these were put together by Democrats, not the Republicans. As much as the farm votes Republican, the Republicans have not rewarded them with one bill in the 93 years since 1932, except for the Immigration Act. All the other ones, though, the Democrats put those together. And now, and Trump now, in his infinite wisdom, he's tearing it apart. And so the farmers are going under. Now the question is, will the farmers see that, learn that, and understand that? That's the big question. Will they do that? Will the farmers of Nebraska learn that Trump is their enemy, not their savior? Will the farmers of Kansas learn that? Will the farmers of South Dakota learn that? Will the farmers of Texas? And Texas is being hit real bad by all of the immigrant workers that are being sent back or rounded up by ICE. They're being hit probably as bad or worse than the other states because they're right by Mexico, so it's real easy for those migrant workers just to go back home. And if this begins to happen, we could end up with 59, 60 seats going to the Democrats next year. That's on the high side. I think 55 seats is more reasonable. Anyway, so this gives you some ideas of what's going on. What I would like you to do, if you don't mind, do hit a like and subscribe so I can continue with this type of analysis and content. But also, please send me your comments as to what you think is going on and what you think of my methodology. Am I crazy, do you think? I know I'm a little bit unusual compared to what other people are saying. But do you think I'm far off? Do you think that that my analysis is silly? Please let me know. Because I also have some states here that are controversial. I have Ohio and Tennessee going to the Democrats. I think that's going to happen, despite the fact that Sherrod Brown right now is behind. I think that's going to shift in the next year. In Tennessee, with Jack Daniels having all the problems it's having, and the car companies in Tennessee, assembly factories, and all that. I think Tennessee is going to have a problem, and I think there's a very good chance that it will go blue. So, anyway, it's going to give you an idea. I appreciate your attention on this, and there we go. I appreciate your attention on this. Do leave a like and subscribe, and do send me some comments as to what you think of all this. By the way, I'm going to be leaving this on YouTube, but I'm also going to be putting it on Patreon, and I'm going to take an audio of this and put it onto Spotify as well. Anyway, thank you very much, and have a good Labor Day, and I'll see you tomorrow.